A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there to my channel, the Twin Flame Union. And in this channeling session, I would be talking about the divine masculine coming to the door of the divine feminine and going back from there. And he comes and stands at the door. He waits at the door. He is looking inside her house. This is the energy. So the house means the divine feminine's personality, her being. He comes till there and she's probably sitting inside and she's doing her things and she's aware that he comes to my door. He stands at the door. When she goes to open the door for him so that he can come in, he turns away. So let's get started. So this is the energy of the divine masculine right now. The divine feminine has been waiting for him to come back home and to, just be there. And he had gone away, which is okay. She has finally accepted and understood that it's all right to let people go. For a long time, she was not able to accept it, that people want to go. Sometimes they need a break, sometimes they need space. And all successful relationships are based on this small fact, which looks very small, sounds very small and simple, that it's very difficult for a lot of divine feminines to accept it. That when someone wants to go, you should let them go. You should be busy enough, or you should be complete and whole within yourself, so that when someone goes, you don't take it personally. You don't feel that it's because of me that they are going away. It could be because of their own struggles. It could be because of their own mood, their own feeling, their own freedom, consciousness, their own free will, whatever it is, it could be because of them. In this channeling session, I will also talk about Shiva and Shakti and why they are one. And from that understanding, from that energy concept, you have to also understand how the divine masculine and feminine are also one. Whether or not one goes away, or whether or not one stays or waits, it does not matter. Now, the reason why it has been shown to me, the reason why he keeps going away, or that is something that hurts her or worries her, is because she is too attached with that fact that when he comes to my door or when he comes to my place, then he loves me. Then that is true love. I don't mind he goes out for work. I don't mind he goes out to do his own thing. But when he doesn't come for too long, when he's gone for too long, then she worries because she adds it up as something, she makes meaning out of it, that something like he doesn't love me. Now, in a lot of cases, this dynamic can happen between a mother and child also, a friend also, in different relationships. So that's the reason why I need to tell you that not only Shiva and Shakti is a spiritual concept, or twin flames is a spiritual concept for many people, but twin flame is also a very scientific concept. And the more we will go ahead in time, this will become one of the most talked about concepts. Though not everyone can do it, not everyone will do it, because there are soulmates and there are karmics also. But those people who are in the twin flame journey, they will have a very clear understanding. Even if they are living alone, even if they are living in ascension work, like when Parvati was doing ascension work, she lived alone. She told her family, she told her parents, everyone, that I want to be in my solitude and I want to do my inner work. Inner work is an English word, for adhyatmikta. Or inner work is an English word for a concept for saying that I want to be on my own. I want to be in my solitude. I want to do inner journey. I want to go within myself. Back in those days, when the Gurukul system was very popular, and even before that, even in time of Buddha, many people used to do that. They used to just leave everything and go away. Scientifically as well as spiritually, Shiva and Shakti are one. And by one love also I mean the same thing, that they are one. They are the whole universe. It's not like Shakti is not masculine, Shiva is not feminine, or Shiva is not, Shiva is completely masculine or Shakti is completely feminine. The reason why you see the Ardhanareshwar also, which is the half woman, half man form of Shiva and Shakti, half woman and half man in complete balance, right in the middle, they are half man and half woman. Why? That is to show to the world that we are one. There is no difference in us. So when the masculine comes to the door, the reason why he is not coming inside is she is still waiting for him. If she does not wait for him, if she gets back to doing her work, she won't even realize when time will pass or when, her chores will be done or whatever she is there to do, her own inner work will be done. And if he wants to come back, he will come back. If he doesn't want to come back, then too, she is not going to go looking for him. She will accept it that he is gone out, he is gone away for a while, and I need to respect his space. That's when you become one. Like if I want to go out, if I want to do my thing, and someone, keeps telling me or keeps waiting on me, it makes a person feel very uncomfortable, right? This is how a wisdom-oriented divine feminine would think, that if, say for example, I want to travel alone, the reason why she's not able to say this or do this is because she's still not fully been in that zone where she enjoys her company a lot. When you enjoy your alone time a lot, you also respect other people's alone time. Completely you respect it because you have your own alone time. So when you ask from an ascended divine masculine feminine couple who are in one love, who are experiencing one love, they will say that I am Shiva as well as I am Shakti. I am male as well as I am female. And I am both. When you are trying to be too good, very goody good, Miss Goody Two Shoes, then that means something is wrong. Personally also I say this, when someone, even in my coaching sessions I have done this, even with people who act very difficult with me, I have done this. I tell people that don't expect me to be very nice to you, okay? If you're going to misbehave with me, if you're going to bullshit with me, then don't expect me to be nice. I will say what I feel like saying in the moment, and then I will also live my own world, in my own world. I would want to ignore that negativity because I don't want to, in some cases you will ignore it fully. In some cases, when you feel that the other person has crossed their line, then you need to take some action, you will take some action. Yesterday when I did the live session, I spoke about Sita and Ram. When I spoke about Sita and Ram, I said there are two things that come out from what Sita did. Number one, when Sita didn't come back to him in the end, when she goes back to her mother, is number one, she had done her duty. And anyone who's in this ascension journey would understand, like who's seriously into it, that in certain places you also need to keep your self-respect ahead. She had done her duty, she had done her work, and she was not attached with the fact that I have to live in the same palace with Sri Ram. She had lived with Sri Ram in the palace many times before. Before the marriage, after they got married, they spent some time in her father's kingdom. Then they went to Ayodhya, where he was supposed to become the king. Then he was exiled. She spent all that time with him in exile. Then they got separated. Then they met again. Then they spent some more time in the palace and she got pregnant. And then after that he gave up on her. And then she, raised the boys. And when the time came, she left. And it's not like when she left the earth plane. When she went to Vaikunt, he didn't follow. Again they met each other. Again they had a union as Vishnu and Lakshmi. And again, when it would be required for planet Earth, if they have to reincarnate again, they will reincarnate again. So they don't take this as separation. They don't take it as, oh, we are not married. Oh, we are not living under the same roof. They take it as in a simple way that we have to do our work. We have to do our duty. Our mission is number one. Once we finish our mission, then we come back to our home, to our heavenly abode, and that's it. And even when they are living on planet Earth, or they're doing their duties, they don't think that we are separated. From their perspective, they are never separated. From 5D, 6D, 7D or above, they are never separated. It's only in the third dimensional world where the physicality is of prime importance. People want to see logic, people want to see some kind of proof. So when he comes to the door again and again, and he doesn't do it once or twice, let me tell you, this is what this channeling is all about. He doesn't do it once or twice. He comes to the door, he stands at the door. And she's not around the door. The first time she's not there, she's doing something, she doesn't get to know. After a while, she herself starts worrying as to where is my DM, he has not come back, or like, how many of you, so many of you do it. He has not communicated with me, he has not contacted me, he has not messaged me. So then she starts living in that worrying, that negative energy, that energy which does not take her to the present at all. It is all about past and future thoughts. And then she starts looking around, then she goes to the to the street, or she goes somewhere, wherever she's looking for the divine masculine. She doesn't find him. She feels very worried, like where is he? And suddenly she sees that he's coming and she's very happy. She's extremely elated. Oh, he's coming back. He comes back, he keeps looking at her, staring at her from a distance. She feels very nice. Okay, he really loves me. Then she thinks that, okay, he's there, he's outside my door or wherever the road is, wherever the street is. Now he's gonna come home. And she goes to the door. He stands at the door, she opens the door, but he doesn't step in. She calls him in very lovingly, come over, why are you standing there, come inside. He doesn't say a word, he stays there. She even offers him like things, he doesn't come in. Like offering as in maybe food or maybe some resting time or maybe some, like I'm just trying to explain the energy, because how I received the energy is very different, and how I am relaying is trying to make you understand it. And then he goes away. When he goes away in front of her from the door, she feels very bad. Like, why is he doing this? Okay, maybe he's gonna come back soon. He comes back again after 5-10 minutes or say half an hour. Again he stands at the door. He's just looking inside expectantly, but he's not stepping inside. There is some fear in his heart, in his mind, that if I will come inside this door, I will get hurt. I will get hurt, or something will happen to me, something painful will happen to me, or maybe I will get caged, because when I come inside the house, she doesn't let me go out. She doesn't let me leave. And if I leave, she keeps worrying about me. So I don't want to be involved in that energy. He thinks that, maybe, it's for you also to figure out sometimes. So this keeps happening. And after a while, she gets tired of it. She said, to hell with it. She closed the door. She doesn't want to see this dynamic anymore. And she goes inside. She starts doing her things. Now she's busy doing her thing. She's forgotten about it completely. And while she's inside and forgotten about it completely, he's still standing, coming back and going to the door. He's doing that, but she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's like, I'm done with it. I cannot keep standing at the door, waiting patiently. And when he comes, I'm trying to lure him in, like, come over, be here, showing him something that could, be of his interest. And she even feels that he might not be comfortable in the outside world. Then why is he so confused? Finally, she says, let it be. I don't care. I don't care about this. If someone wants to go out, if someone wants to enjoy, they need some space, they want to make friends, they will have many friends, they will go and meet them. I will have my friends, I will do my own things. So, from that perspective, the divine feminine and divine masculine energy is the same. And why is this separation created? This separation is simply created so that the masculine and the feminine both start to live in the present moment. Obviously, it's for earth ascension. That is the most important meaning for it. And what they're trying to do is, they're trying to say, the gods and goddesses, that I am light and I am dark. I'm flesh and I'm the spirit. For a lot of people who feel that it's only the spirit, not the flesh, and some people think that it's only the flesh, not the spirit. Even in higher dimensions, you have a subtle body. You have different body type, but you have subtle body. But the most, why all the masters and all the seers, they keep coming back also. There are many master souls who have already ascended, but they keep coming back to planet Earth. It's like, they keep doing that course again and again. Because they want to remain humble, they don't want to develop any ego, or they don't develop anything else, and at the same time they also want to help Earth. So they're trying to say that I'm the flesh and I'm the spirit, and I am perfectly balanced. I am perfectly balanced in one single moment that can last an eternity. So this one moment can be as long as an eternity. There is no end. In the Puranas also, this is how they explain, that there is no Adi and there is no Ant. But there is a Madhya, there is a middle. You stay in the middle, you are in the middle. But there is no end to it and there is no beginning to it. The half woman, half man form of divine, it has been around for a really long time, and a lot of artistic people, they're very fascinated by this form. They have depicted it in different forms, different styles. Not form, like different styles, different ways of perceiving it. But the main concept is that the two elements, the male and the female, which merges into each other. And this is not just for visual effect or for making it, look interesting, but it has that cosmic significance. It has a very deep meaning. And so many ancient texts, so many have talked about this as, even science has talked about this as metaphysical thing. And it basically represents the biological unity of the outward duality, which means that you can check out my song. I will share that song today, I think. By the end of this day, I will share it. Because this week's theme is duality to singularity. And in that song, which was produced around 4 years back or so, this duality to singularity concept was back then shared as a poetry. But this is for the twin flame community to understand that maybe, in the outside world also, we see man and woman as different on planet Earth. But the more awareness increases, the more consciousness increases, the more you see that people are changing. Mainstream people are changing. When they change fully, they don't see any difference between a man and a woman. They see them, both genders, as same. There are a lot of feminist movements that are talking about equality. But again, they are talking about equality from a physical aspect. But actually, it should be equality from a mental aspect. Again, some of them are doing great work. A lot of feminist movements are doing great work. But a lot of them are also having a competition with the man. Again, because they are not healed, there are some wounds. So they are competing with the men. That we want equality, we want equality. Instead of accepting that man and woman both have equal qualities, and in some places a man can be handy, so we must respect that. Like there are a lot of physical tasks where, like carrying heavy boxes, moving one thing from another, doing this, doing that, going to some place. These things are done wonderfully by men. Like in farming also, simple things like women growing vegetables and flowers, they do it very easily, very beautifully. Not that they don't do other hard labor work, but when it comes to, moving the bulls, if you have ever been to a farm, then a lot of people don't just work on tractors, they also work on with the animals. So there is this sort of a instrument which is placed on the bulls, and then the bulls and the farmer. It's called a plowing machine. It's made of wood, okay, and they have to work it out. It's easier for a man to do it because he has physical strength. How women help is they help in sowing the seeds. So the man goes ahead with the bull and that whole machine, and from the behind, once the soil is softer, the woman keeps dropping the seeds with equal distance, with equal, precision. So they are both helping each other, and both are doing certain tasks with equal ease. When it comes to checking onto the crops, I have noticed personally that women are very good in that. They are very nice when they tend to the flowers. They're very good with gardening. They're very good with fruits to see. I don't know why. Both have, you cannot really pinpoint. There are some women who are very good with hard labor job also, or their body is designed in such a way that they are very sturdy and they are very strong. I know one girl, she's probably less than 5 feet tall, but she can carry 1 quintal of weight. 1 quintal. She can carry 1 quintal of rice sack on her back with ease. And she can lift it, carry it and keep it wherever. And she's not even 5 feet tall. How she's done that? She's doing that? I don't know. And then I know some women who are really good in climbing trees and picking berries and doing all those chores, which normally people say women cannot climb trees and things like that. But I've personally seen women doing those tasks. And then there are so many men who are very good in singing, dancing, cooking. There are so many chefs now in the world. Most of the chefs, if you look at the chefs, they're all men. Because they have developed their divine feminine qualities and brought it to that level. Then we also have homosexuals. We also have people, they are born as a female, but most of their traits are masculine. And in my reading sessions, I have also come across those couples. And you can, in one go, just in one look, that it is a female body, but the energy is of the divine masculine. I'm talking about same-sex relationships, not otherwise. Because that person carries that energy. So even if the energy is born in a female body, but the energy is of a man, so that's why the gender or the sex does not matter. she is living like a man. And that's why there are girlfriends, and even this person that I'm talking about, or any person like that, they also have many relationships, breakups. They're also struggling in their relationships. So then this type of thinking, when it becomes clear, then the divine feminine does not want to wait anymore, and she does not even care anymore. Then she can live in peace. And if she is living in peace, everything around her will become peaceful. And once this unity conscious comes in a divine masculine and a feminine, when they become one, they start seeing this one love in everybody. Even the people who are creating trouble for them, they can somehow find some trait or something that they are doing out of the troublemaking also that is helping them in some way. And they say, yeah, it's actually good. Like, there was a time when I used to go and fight a lot with people who would shoo the dogs away, or they would, throw stones at them, or they would just create a ruckus around them. There was a time when I used to go and fight with them, go and talk to them. I would try and explain to them that, hey, don't do this. And there was also a time when I would be standing and playing with the dogs, and suddenly, somebody would come completely fearful, very scared, and they would start screaming and shouting, and they would start doing all those weird things. And I would run to them and I would be like, don't worry, hold my hand, I'll walk you through, and things like that. In some cases, it was okay. But slowly and gradually, I started realizing that why am I doing this? If somebody is scared of a dog or the night or a ghost, this is their personal fear. They need to come over this, they need to cope up with this. It has got nothing to do with me. Why am I projecting their fear, their anger Or why am I even expecting it from them? In some cases, people who shoo the dogs away, it's good, I feel. Because then even the dogs understand, or the dog understand, that this is a place I don't need to go. I am definitely not getting food from these people. I'm definitely not getting love from these people. I'm not getting anything that I need from these people. So I need to only go to those people who are going to give me love, or who are going to give me food, or who are going to give me shelter. So in a way, these people, they create boundaries and they somehow help people like us, because the dogs are not confused anymore. They are very clear. They know that this is the human who is going to love me, and this is the human who does not love me. And there's nothing wrong in that. Let's not just think about, say, animals, anything from that perspective, anything. Somebody cannot live with you because of a certain trait you have or a certain quality you have, and they'll leave you. And this happens a lot with narcissistic family templates, and divine feminines would know this. With divine masculine also, he also runs away because he feels that a certain trait about him, especially I have noticed when he sees that she's a spiritual person, he sees that there's an age difference, or he sees something about her that he doesn't feel right to him. So he runs away. But if he won't run away, then how will the divine feminine do her inner work? Or how will she reach to that place where she will start loving her own company, her own self, so much that she will become totally independent? Even when, say, narcissistic family leaves, they run away, or they have tried every trick to create trouble, or create torture, or create whatever negative situations, make the divine feminine feel that she's not good, we are better, we are so superior, because narcissistic people have that, superior dominating energy, that we are superior, we are in control, you are not in control, she's not in control. They try every trick. With every trick, she keeps growing to a point that she's no longer dependent on them. So they have the biggest weapon. They say, okay, we will leave you and we will go away. You live alone. They will even put her with burdens. They will give her extra responsibilities. They will give her certain things that they 100% know that she will not be able to handle it by herself. And then she will come back to us, she will beg to us, or we will then tell her that, look, we told you would not be able to do it. We were always telling you that. And then we can enslave her again. Again, I don't want to sound like this is a villain or a vamp or a victim story, but from her perspective. But only when she starts living alone, and only when she starts enjoying her company, and she's able to do her mission work, or she's able to do her duties, she's able to earn the money she thought that she would not be able to earn. And when she becomes independent, she doesn't need them anymore. She lives very happily. And that's when they realize that, we made a mistake too. We were very harsh on her. We should not have done that. We left her alone, but look, from out of being alone, she has created a whole bunch of world around her, a whole bunch of team around her. She has supporters, she has cheerleaders now. She has created a system of her own. She is living on her own. And this is the same thing that the divine masculine also sees, that yes, I was harsh on her, because if she was wrong, then how would she get support from others, or how would she create her own system? The source supports all those people who have faith in the source, and they know that even if I'm alone, I'm not alone, because the source. And what does the word source mean? Source means a source of everything, whatever you need, right? Whatever is required, the source will provide you. The source is the provider for both, provider for materialistic things and the provider for nurturing. Divine feminine is nurturer, and divine masculine is provider. So when the divine feminine alone develops that nurturing and the provider qualities in her, which a lot of people who are in touch with me, I see in the comments, and even in the live sessions, I've answered these questions about toxic family relationships, toxic mother, narcissistic family, toxic husband, narcissistic husband, all of those things. How do we deal with that? How do we handle that? Right? So in all those situations, when she's able to handle that, not only she's helping her own self, but she's also helping them. Because you don't understand that narcissistic people are also suffering a lot. People who are enjoying this game, that I will inflict pain upon someone I love, and that person will get dominated by me. They will be under my control. They will do what I tell them. They will be enslaved by me. And I need that slavery energy to thrive or to survive. They are also suffering. They have some lack and limitation within themselves too. That instead of looking to the source, they are looking at another person. Maybe because that person has excess energy according to them. From energy perspective, they have turned themselves into an energy vampire who's incapable of loving another being. They cannot love their own person. They cannot support their own person. Like if someone needs support from you, as a loving and supportive person, you would try to do whatever you can. But maybe, as I said, it's a mirror, mirror reflection. Maybe the divine feminine has also become very needy. Maybe she has lost faith in herself. Maybe she does not believe in herself. So both the parties, there is not one party which is wrong. And that's why I say that this narcissistic versus oversensitive empath, and there's one video also I have shared. If you guys, some of you have watched it, and I'll reshare it in a post. Narcissistic versus oversensitive empath. This is something that she needs to heal via inner work. And automatically everyone else around them will also realize, because a lot of narcissistic people don't realize when they are hurting someone. And this oversensitive empath is so oversensitive that everything becomes an issue. Everything is connected to they don't love me. They don't love me. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. It can be whatever XYZ reason. In the long run, it's the programming or it's the template. But one has to, overcome these issues as well. So, let the divine masculine come at the door, stand at the door, do whatever he wants with the door. Break the door, scratch the door, whatever. But she will only let him in when the time is right. But she's not going to waste her time if he wants to go away. He wants to go away, okay. He wants to go away. He's not ready to come inside. It's all right. His wish, his mood, his life. I have my own life. I have my own mood. I have my own wish. This way, a peace and contentment energy is created, an energy of singularity is created, an energy of unity conscious is created, because the person is in the present moment. On that note, I'm going to end this channeling. One love and peace out.